Welcome. If you're staring down the barrel of your AQA GCSE History paper on the First World War, well, you're in exactly the right place. In this explainer, we are going to crack the code and give you a proper revision roadmap, something that'll give you real clarity and confidence for your exams. So, let's dive right in.
Look, I get it. It's a huge topic, right? There are so many dates, so many names, and these really complex causes. It's so easy to feel a bit lost in the, trenches of revision. But honestly, don't worry. That is exactly why we're here today. Our goal is super simple, to take all that confusion and turn it into a clear, straightforward plan. We're going to use the official AQA specification as our guide, breaking it down so you know exactly what to focus on, why it all matters, and how the examiners are actually going to test you on it. This is your map to success.
Okay, first things first. Let's zoom out a bit and understand the big picture. What exactly is this module asking you to do? Because knowing that, well, that's the key to giving the examiners what they're looking for.
So this isn't just about memorizing a bunch of dates. AQA calls this paper a wider world depth study. Now look at those key phrases, how and why it occurred, and why it proved difficult to resolve. That's your first big clue. The examiners want you to be an analyst, not just a fact finder. You've got to explain the mechanics of the conflict.
So, where does this all fit in? This whole topic is Section B of your Paper 1 exam, which is called Understanding the Modern World. Now listen, this paper is worth a full 50% of your total GCSE history grade, so nailing this section is absolutely vital for a top mark.
Okay, let's get into the actual content. The whole specification is broken down into 3 logical parts. And we begin, of course, right at the beginning, figuring out the long-term and the short-term causes that dragged the entire world into war.
This section is all about the long-term tensions that were simmering away and the short-term spark that lit the fuse. The key things you absolutely have to master are the 2 rival camps created by the alliance system and that growing Anglo-German rivalry, which really set the stage. Then you need to know the trigger, the assassination in Sarajevo, which just ignited the powder keg of the Balkans. That led to the disastrous diplomatic failures of the July crisis and finally Germany's invasion of Belgium using the Schlieffen Plan.
And this just shows you how terrifyingly fast everything escalated. I mean, look at that timeline. In just a matter of weeks, one assassination in Sarajevo spiraled through a series of threats and mobilizations, that's the July crisis, into a full-scale continental war when Germany enacted its war plan. It was just a terrifying domino effect.
So the war begins, and everyone famously thought it would be over by Christmas. Well, they were tragically wrong. Part 2 of the course explores why that was, and it's all about one word: stalemate. Why did the war get so horribly bogged down?
The story of the stalemate. It really begins with the failure of the Schlieffen Plan. That failure is what directly led to the race to the sea and the creation of the Western Front, with its iconic and, frankly, brutal trench warfare. This new type of fighting was defined by attrition, which you'll need to illustrate with horrific examples from key battles like Verdun, the Somme, and Passchendaele. And remember to zoom out, too. The stalemate wasn't just in France. You also need to know about the wider war, including the Gallipoli campaign and the crucial war at sea. This phrase is absolutely key to understanding Part 2. A war of attrition means trying to win a war by simply wearing down the other side, by inflicting continuous losses of people and material until they just collapse. This is the tragic story of battles like the Somme and Verdun, where generals literally threw hundreds of thousands of men into the meat grinder, just hoping the enemy would break first.
So if the war was stuck in this bloody stalemate for years on end, what finally broke the deadlock? Well, that's the question Part 3 answers. It focuses on all the key developments that finally brought the war to an end.
The beginning of the end really came with 2 huge game changers: Russia's withdrawal from the war, which freed up a load of German troops, and then the entry of the USA, with its immense industrial and military power. This all set the stage for the final act in 1918, Germany's last desperate gamble, the Ludendorff Offensive and the decisive Allied counterattack, the 100 Days Offensive. Finally, you need to know why Germany ultimately collapsed and surrendered, from the crippling naval blockade at home to the Kaiser's abdication and the signing of the armistice.
Right, that's the what to revise. Now let's talk about the how. Knowing the content is only half the battle, You also need to know exactly how you're going to be tested on it.
Think of this as your exam paper cheat sheet. In Section B, you will always face these 4 questions.
The first two are all about sources. They're testing your ability to analyze and evaluate them. The third asks you to write an account, which is all about your narrative skills. And then there's the big one, the final essay, where you have to form a sustained argument and come to a really solid conclusion.
And please, whatever you do, do not throw away free marks. That final 16-mark essay has an extra 4 marks just for your spelling, punctuation, and grammar. For some people, that's a whole grade boundary. It really pays to be precise and clear in your writing.
So how do you get those top marks on the big essay? Just follow these 4 steps. First, break down the question and the statement you're given. Second, brainstorm and select specific, detailed facts and examples to support your points. Third, structure your answer with a clear introduction, logical paragraphs, and a powerful conclusion. And finally, and this is so important, you must reach a judgment that directly answers the question.
And there you have it, the content, the structure, and the exam strategy all in one place. You're no longer revising in the dark. You've got the map, you've got the plan, you have everything you need to turn that confusion into real confidence. So the only question left is, where will your revision journey begin?